It was a cold January morning in Oakland, California. The gray sky announced yet another day of low temperatures, worsening the situation for many families already facing financial difficulties in the region. Stephen Curry had just finished his morning training at the Golden State Warriors complex. Despite the team's move to Chase Center in San Francisco, Curry maintained a special connection with Oakland, the city that welcomed him at the beginning of his career. That morning, instead of going straight home, he decided to stop at Betty's Corner, a small family diner a few blocks from the former Oracle Arena. The place was a discreet refuge where he could eat without being constantly approached by fans, as the owner, Mrs. Betty, a 70-year-old lady, safeguarded the privacy of her regular customers. While parking his car, Curry noticed a woman sitting on a bench near the entrance of the diner. She appeared to be about 35 years old, with deep circles under her eyes that evidenced sleepless nights. Beside her were two small children, a girl of approximately 4 years and a boy who didn't seem to be older than 6. The woman frantically checked her cell phone while trying to calm the boy who seemed restless from the cold. There was something in the scene that touched Curry. Perhaps it was the contrast between the care the woman showed for the children and the evident worry on her face. Or perhaps it was the way she embraced the little ones, trying to warm them with her own body, even though she herself was inadequately dressed for the harsh weather. Inside the diner, Curry chose a corner table from where he could discreetly observe. Minutes later, the woman entered with the two children. Her name was Angela, as Curry discovered when Mrs. Betty greeted her warmly. Angela opened a small purse and began methodically counting coins on the table, organizing them into small piles. "We have enough for one sandwich and a large glass of milk, kids," she said, softly. "You'll share, okay?" "Angela, how are the other 3?" asked Mrs. Betty, wiping the counter. "At school," Angela replied. "Thank God for the free lunch program. I'm trying to figure out dinner for today." Mrs. Betty nodded with a concerned look while preparing the order. Curry observed the children looking anxiously at the sandwich that would be divided between them. Without drawing attention, he stood up and approached the counter. "I'd like to pay for that family's order," he said, discreetly to Mrs. Betty. "And add 2 more sandwiches, a soup, and a hot chocolate for each of them." When Mrs. Betty brought the extra food to the table, Angela looked confused. "There must be some mistake. We didn't order this," she explained. "There's no mistake," replied Mrs. Betty, discreetly pointing to Curry. Angela looked at him, uncertain. Curry approached calmly. "I hope you don't mind. It's very cold today." "We can't accept," said Angela, though her eyes betrayed her internal conflict. "Please," Curry gently insisted, "your children need to eat well." After a moment of hesitation, Angela agreed with a nod. While the children began eating eagerly, Curry introduced himself simply as Stephen. "I'm Angela," she responded, "and these are Leo and Maya." During the conversation, Curry discovered that Angela was an unemployed nurse since the hospital where she worked closed its pediatric ward. She struggled to support 5 children with temporary jobs. "May I sit with you?" "For a few minutes?" Curry asked. Angela looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and distrust, still not completely recognizing him. "All right," she finally answered. "I guess we owe you that for the meal." Curry pulled up a chair and sat down, trying not to intimidate Angela with his presence. The diner was relatively empty at that hour, allowing for a peaceful conversation while the children savored the unexpected meal. "You mentioned you were a nurse?" Curry gently asked, breaking the initial silence. Angela nodded, running her hand through her dark hair secured in an improvised bun. "Pediatric nurse for 12 years at Highland Hospital. I loved my job." Her face lit up momentarily, before darkening again. Until the budget cuts began. Our ward was the first to be reduced and eventually closed 8 months ago. That must have been difficult, commented Curry, noticing how she attentively supervised the children while speaking. It was like losing a part of myself, Angela confessed. Those children and their families were like an extension of my own family. She paused, sipping a coffee that Curry had added to the order. Since then, I've been doing night shifts at clinics when they can schedule me. But it's not enough. Hospitals are cutting staff, not hiring. Maya, the youngest daughter, extended a piece of her sandwich to her mother, but Angela refused with a forced smile. You eat it, darling. Mommy already ate earlier. The transparent lie didn't go, unnoticed by Curry. And the children's father? Curry carefully asked. Angela's eyes briefly welled up before she regained her composure. Michael was a veteran. He served 2 deployments in Afghanistan. He came back different, as many do. She lowered her voice so the children wouldn't hear. The healthcare system for veterans failed him. Untreated PTSD, depression. It's been 2 years since he left us. Curry nodded respectfully, understanding the depth of the loss. Since then, it's been just me for 5 children. Leo and Maya are here with me today, because the community daycare is closed for maintenance. James is 14, Sophia 10, and Daniel 8. They're at school now. At that moment, Angela's cell phone rang. She answered quickly, her expression transforming into concern. James, calm down, dear. Yes, I know there's nothing in the fridge. No, don't use the stove. Have Sophia and Daniel arrived from school yet? She listened for a moment, the desperation growing on her face. I'll figure something out for dinner, I promise. Please, just take care of your siblings until I get home. Hanging up the phone, Angela briefly closed her eyes as if seeking inner strength. Problems at home? Curry asked, already knowing the answer. My oldest son is worried about dinner, she explained, beginning to gather her things. I need to find a solution before the children go hungry again. Maybe I can help, Curry offered. I know people who might be looking for someone with your qualifications. Angela seemed skeptical, but too desperate to refuse any possibility. I appreciate the intention, but I've heard that before. People want to help, but they rarely can actually do something. Trust me, Curry insisted, extending his phone. Could you give me your address and number? I promise it's not in vain. After a moment of hesitation, Angela typed her information into his phone, adding, We live in a small apartment in East Oakland. Nothing glamorous, but we're together, which is what matters. Saying goodbye, Angela held the children's hands and headed to the door, turning one last time to Curry. Thank you for the meal. You can't imagine how much that meant today. Curry watched through the window as they walked to the bus stop. Immediately, he took his phone and called his wife Aisha. Love, I need your help with something important, he said with determination. I just met someone who needs more than just a meal. 2 hours later, Curry was meeting with his team at the headquarters of the EAT, Learn, Play, Foundation, which he and Aisha had created to combat child food insecurity. The conference room buzzed with energy as close collaborators listened attentively to his account of Angela and her children. This isn't just about one family going through difficulties, explained Curry, projecting a map of Oakland on the screen. Angela represents thousands of families in East Oakland facing food insecurity. Qualified professionals who lost jobs due to budget cuts and now can't feed their children. Aisha, seated beside him, nodded while taking notes. We need a 3-pronged approach: immediate assistance, employment solution, and community impact. Exactly, agreed Curry. For immediate assistance, let's mobilize our food distribution partners. I want to deliver supplies not just to Angela, but to at least 24 families identified in the same area. No cameras, no publicity, just discreet and dignified help. Ashley, the foundation's operations director, raised her hand. We can have everything ready in 48 hours. The Oakland Grocery Cooperative has already confirmed availability for this type of emergency operation. Curry continued. For the employment solution, I discovered that Kaiser Permanente is expanding its pediatric ward. He swiped his finger across the phone screen. I've already spoken with Marcus Jenkins, their administrative director. He can schedule an interview for Angela as early as next week. Is he doing this as a personal favor to you? Questioned one of the advisors. Curry firmly shook his head. Not at all. I made it clear that I don't want special treatment for her. Angela has 12 years of impeccable experience and excellent references. She just needed someone who would actually look at her resume instead of automatically discarding it because of her age or the employment gap. The planning continued as Curry outlined the third phase. Community impact. His goal was to expand the food insecurity combat program in Oakland, focusing especially on families headed by a single parent facing temporary difficulties. We have to address the root of the problem, he insisted, standing up to circle around the room. Budget cuts in healthcare are devastating entire communities. We need to use our platform to raise awareness about this. As the meeting progressed, some corporate partners expressed resistance, preferring one-time donations to structural changes. Curry remained firm. I understand it's easier to make a large donation and take a photo, he said, with a seriousness rare for his usual relaxed demeanor. But that's not what these families need. They need sustainable support systems that respect their dignity. After 3 hours of intense planning, the team had outlined a comprehensive plan. Beyond immediate help for Angela, they would create a pilot project to help unemployed healthcare professionals find new positions with support during the transition. Remember, emphasized Curry as the meeting concluded, we're here to create opportunities, not to promote ourselves. None of these families should feel like a case of public charity. Late in the afternoon, Curry was in his car again, driving to East Oakland. On the passenger seat, some grocery bags served as a disguise for his first official visit to the Martinez family. The address led him to a modest but well-maintained apartment complex. Parking, he took a deep breath, determined to present his plan personally to Angela. It's not about basketball. It's about making a difference, away from the cameras, he murmured to himself, grabbing the bags and walking toward the building. Angela opened the door of her apartment, expecting to find just another social worker or representative from some community program. Her eyes widened upon recognizing who was standing before her, holding grocery bags. The noise from the television in the living room was followed by a shout from her 12-year-old son, Daniel. "Mom, it's Steph Curry!" exclaimed the boy, frozen in the hallway, still holding a school notebook. Understanding hit Angela like a wave. The gentle stranger from the diner, who had introduced himself only as Steven, was actually the Golden State Warriors superstar. For a moment, she was speechless, one hand instinctively covering her mouth. "May I come in?" asked Curry with a genuine smile. "These bags are getting heavy." The small apartment soon filled with the excited voices of the 5 children, while Angela still tried to process what was happening. In the simple kitchen, Curry explained his plan. "I didn't come here to offer charity," he clarified, as Angela listened attentively. "I came to offer opportunity. I managed to schedule an interview for you at Kaiser Permanente. They're expanding the pediatric ward. and need nurses with your experience." Angela's eyes momentarily brightened before worry clouded them again. "Even if I got the job, who would take care of the children? Hospital schedules are unpredictable, and I can't afford a babysitter." Curry smiled. "That's where the second part of the plan comes in. Our foundation has implemented an after-school childcare program. Your children would have a safe place to stay, with nutritious meals and educational support. During summer, we have camps that include sports and artistic activities." Tears began to form in Angela's eyes. "Why are you doing this? Why me? There are so many families in need." "Because I saw something in you today," Curry responded sincerely. "I saw a mother willing to go hungry to feed her children. I saw someone who needs just an opportunity, not handouts." In the weeks that followed, the Martinez family's life gradually transformed. Angela impressed the Kaiser Permanente recruiters with her experience and dedication, securing a position with a better salary than she expected, and full benefits for the entire family. The transformation manifested in small but significant details: the always stocked refrigerator, the more frequent smiles of the children, Angela's more upright posture when walking without the constant weight of worry. James, the oldest son, rejoined the school basketball team, something he had abandoned to help care for his younger siblings. Inspired by Angela's story, Curry expanded the program to support 50 more families in similar situations in the Oakland area. In partnership with other Warriors players and local businesses, he established an emergency support fund specifically for healthcare professionals between jobs. 6 months later, Angela received a promotion to head nurse in the pediatric ward. Using her own experience, she began mentoring other single mothers facing similar challenges and became the spokesperson for an initiative that encourages hospitals to implement flexible schedules for single parents. At the annual Eat, Learn, Play Foundation event, Angela took the stage to share her story publicly for the first time. From the audience, Curry watched discreetly, refusing to take the spotlight. "True generosity isn't just about giving," Angela concluded in her emotional speech. "It's about giving people back their dignity and ability to care for their own families. We don't just need donations, we need systems that recognize our worth and give us fair opportunities." As the audience gave a standing ovation, Curry exchanged a meaningful look with Angela across the hall. What had begun as a casual encounter in a diner had transformed into a systemic change that now benefited hundreds of families, demonstrating that a champion's true greatness is measured not by trophies, but by the impact they make on the lives they touch.